we've added numbers across, we've added numbers down, we did some more statistical information down there in the lower rows. But there's something else here that we really want to do. And let's take a look here. We have a grand total for all of the trips that we took in the first quarter. And we also have the total of each individual trip. Kind of think of a pie chart. If you were going to do a pie chart and you want to know how much did each of these cities contribute to the grand total, you'd come out with a percent. So that's what we want to figure out here in column F, is what percentage did each city contribute to our total expense for all of our travel. So let's go here into F5 and just type percent, or maybe percent of total. And if you want, you can take column F and stretch it out. When you get that two-headed arrow, you could double click and stretch that out. Well, this is simple division, but things could go a little haywire, and I'm going to do this two ways. First, we're going to do it the wrong way. We'll see there's a problem. Once we identify the problem, we'll delete it, and we'll go back and do it the right way. So let's start here in cell F6, and we're going to say equals, and we want to take the total for the first city, for San Francisco, divide, so you type a forward slash and divide by what? Well, divide by the grand total. So we have E6 divided by E14, the total of San Francisco divided by the grand total for all the travel. And just press enter. And we can see that San Francisco contributed to about 15% of all our travel. First thing we want to do, though, is let's fix it. Rather than making it 0.14 or some horrible number, let's make it look like percentages. So we could simply select all of these cells here from San Francisco down to the total, and to make it look like percentages, we want to be on the Home tab, and over here in the Numbers section, click this percent, and that will make it percent style. So we can see it's 15%. Now maybe you want some decimals in there. So over here you have these two little buttons here, and if you click this one, this will increase the decimals that it displays. And if you click this button here next to it, it'll decrease the decimals that display. Keep in mind, this is not actually rounding the numbers off. This is just formatting. Excel is still calculating based on that whole long number. Okay, that's great. So we see it's about 14.9%. Now, here's where things can go a little haywire. You figure, okay, great. I don't have to do this for every single row. I can just take my autofill and I'll drag down here to the total, hoping that I'll get 100%. Look at this. What we have is 100% garbage. Why is that? Well, let's click the first number that we did. Okay, E6 divided by E14. Total of San Fran divided by the grand total. That's great. What's happening here? Here, this is E7, the Los Angeles total. That's great. Divided by the average. That's kind of meaningless. And over here, we have the Philadelphia total, E8, divided by E16. Again, meaningless. Now, by the time we get down here, we've got these divide by zero errors. So what's happening is, when we took that autofill and we dragged down, remember, these were relative references, and Excel rewrote the formula for us the way it was designed to do, changing the numerator, changing the denominator. And maybe let's press Control tilde and we can see this a little more clearly. So it changes E6 to E7 to E8 to E9. That's great. But the denominator, it's changing E14 to E15, E16. Well, that doesn't make a lot of sense. What we want to do is we want to find some way that when we autofill down the column, the numerator changes from E6 to 7, 8, 9, but the denominator stays fixed on 14. I'll just press Control tilde so we get back. Well, let's just delete all this stuff. Select those cells and delete. Let's go back here to F6. Now that we see what the problem is, let's go and do it the right way. It's going to be just a slight difference. So we type equals, again, the San Fran total, use the forward slash, divided by the grand total there. But don't enter it yet. Press the F4 key on your keyboard. When you press F4, you notice that it changes the denominator, because that's where the cursor is, from E14 to $E, $14. This is an absolute reference. How's it an absolute reference? Well, $E means stay fixed on column E. $14 means stay fixed on row 14, which is just another way of saying stay fixed on cell E14. Well, press the F4 key again. And notice this changes a little bit to $14. So it's plain E, meaning that Excel can veer off column E if necessary, but still fixed on row 14. Press F4 again, and it's kind of the reverse. Now we have $E14. $E meaning we're fixed on column E, 14 meaning, well, it could veer off. Press F4 again, and it cycles back to the beginning. This is a purely relative reference. One last time, press the F4 key. Normally you don't have to go through all this. I just wanted you to see what the options are. So we have E6 divided by $E $14. Now press Control Enter, and now get your autofill handle and fill down to row 14. Now we have some numbers that make sense. And this here, of course, we're dividing 0 by the number, so we could just delete that. Well, press Control tilde, and let's take a look at what we have here. So our numerator changes E6 to E7 to E8. That's the way it did before. That's the way we want it. And now because we have $E $14, those dollar signs make the column E and the row 14 fixed. And when we get down to the last one, of course, the number divided by itself is 100%. So that is what an absolute reference is. If you've never seen this before, I know it might be a little confusing, but absolute references are absolutely necessary because Excel uses them in many different places, and we'll see them later in this course.